Hey everybody, this is News Now Wyoming. It was suggested on another page today in a comment that before I speak, I should really do my research. I was criticizing on the fact that all these problems inside Deer Park result in no lawsuits or limited amount of lawsuits, and I was told that there were several. So I decided to look into it. And although he said there were several, this time I can only find the one. I am sure I will find more. Today I've only got the one, and I'll be researching more. If you guys want to provide me more information on any others besides this one, then I will be happy to review it. Today we are going to be taking a look at Zinter versus Salvaggio. Now, for those of you who have not seen the videos of a lot of YouTubers getting their phones confiscated, arrested for minor crap there in the city of Deer Park, then I suggest pay attention here. Let me know. Reading the complaint again is just one side of it, so let's not pretend like this is 100% honestly the truth, because it is one side of the argument. And that's all we're going to be covering today is the original complaint that has been changed and changed over and over again, as you can see here, since it first was filed in July of 2018 until now. 74 parts of the docket. So I think we can easily turn this into a multi episode briefing to go over where this all started, what happened, and where we are today, and hopefully where they go with it later. I understand that all the parties involved do not comment on this on their YouTube. Very, very smart on their part. Thankfully, I am not a named party here, and I have just a passing interest. I want to affect change. I want to see change. I do see the police action in this town to be reprehensible, and certainly should not be considered beyond reproach. Police Chief Salvaggio, now City Manager Salvaggio, I do not consider him to be the good guy here. I do see too strong of a hand here over nothing, over crap, complete bull crap, that they are just enforcing rules just to be a dick. I mean, I see no reason for them to be enforcing the rules that they are enforcing. But let's go. I'm not going to read every word of this because it is a very long 39 pages. So Jack Miller, Texas Sheepdog. I don't know most of these. Of course, we got James Springer, who I did feature. That's James Freeman. And I'm certain we will find out who these others are down below. Then they are suing the chief of police, his second command, I think, or just at least a lieutenant, a bunch of officers, detectives, and then the city of Leon Valley. Oh, not Deer Park. I'm sorry, you guys. At the very beginning, I said Deer Park. This is the city of Leon Valley. Man, I'm sorry. Two bad towns. Two bad things, and I am mixing them together, so this is Leon Valley. I apologize for any incorrect statement I said before. I could edit it out, but I am not going to. Blah. Jurisdiction. Plaintiff. Russell Zinter is a law-abiding. Jack Miller. Texas Sheepdog. Brian Howd. James Mead. They don't actually say who they are here. Maybe they will below. Then the defendants. Joe Salvaggio is the chief of Leon Valley Police Department and is the main policy maker or decision maker. So he could at any time choose to say, you know what, we're being stupid here. But he won't. If you guys haven't actually seen these videos, I strongly recommend on YouTube. You can look at Texas Sheepdogs and others. James Freeman's site. They've got a lot of video pertaining to this. We are not going to go over the video because I feel it is... I couldn't do it justice enough with the video. And they're the actual participants, so I think it's good enough. You just go search them out. Look these videos up. More defendants. Okay, statement of facts from one side. June 14th, 2018, June 18th, 2018, and June 23rd, 2018. The June 14th, 2018 incident. On June 14th, 2018, people gathered at the Leon Valley Police Department to protest against what they perceived to be an unlawful arrest. Among those present was plaintiff Mark Brown. Brown and a second individual attempted to enter the municipal building, which was home to, among other things, the police station, municipal offices, and courthouse. Brown was holding a camera during this attempted entry. The duo was stopped at the door and ordered to turn around since cameras are not permitted in the entire building per policy. So, policy is saying that you have no right to record in the city offices. Complete crap. Over why? Why? There's absolutely no good reason for this. Although the building houses the police department, Leon Valley policy precludes any cameras from being used anywhere in the building since the building is occasionally used as a courthouse. Oh, sorry. Okay, I understand now. The entire building you cannot have a camera in because on occasion it is a courthouse. What the hell are you talking about, you stupid asses? So I can't go to the mayor's office and record because that same building at some point in its history is also a courthouse? So one room is used for a courtroom and so the entire building is camera free 100% of the time. This policy is in effect even on days and during times in which no court is in session. Brown was, without warning and without any lawful basis, grabbed by unidentified officers and tased numerous times. Brown at no time resisted the officers' actions, nor did he assault or threaten the officers. Brown was violently arrested, and then he was maliciously, falsely charged with 2 crimes: failure to obey an officer and resisting arrest. Both of these charges are baseless, yet they are pending. Excessive force was unlawfully used by the police while taking people into custody. Yeah, if he's not assaulting you, you have no reason to be tasing him. None at all. June 18th. My birthday by chance. People gathered at the Leon Valley Police Station to protest what they perceived to be unlawful police actions on this date 4 days before. Among those gathered were Russell Center, James Meade, Joseph Brandon Pierce, David Bailey, and Juan Gonzalez. This protest included the hoisting of a partially burnt parody American flag made popular by law enforcement. The thin blue line flag is what they're talking about here. The parody American flag looks similar to the real American flag, but it is striped blue instead of red and white. This parody flag is not the real American flag. It is a law enforcement parody. And you know what, you guys? Although I despise this fact, it is not illegal to burn the flag of the United States. So even if it was a real flag and not one showing police power, blue power, whatever the hell it's supposed to actually talk about, if it was a real American flag, it is still a legal, lawful activity to deface it. Again, I do not agree with that. I would never do it. But it is legal. It is a law enforcement parody. Numerous police officers, at the direction of Chief Salvaggio, detained and or arrested a number of people who were merely present with no lawful basis. So if you are just present watching somebody do something to this blue flag, you can be arrested. These officers, also at the direction of Hale Salvaggio and Lieutenant Anderson, both acting in their capacities as both policymakers, decision makers for Leon Valley, as well as in their supervisory capacities over the subordinate officers, confiscated property from the people who were gathered there. The property seized was without any lawful basis. The detentions and arrests were without lawful basis. The criminal charges charged were without any lawful basis. Excessive force was used by the police unlawfully. Then the June 23rd, 2018 incident. On June 23, 2018. Alright, you guys get this? Minor incident. Okay, not minor. He was tased. Not minor. I don't want to call it minor like that, okay? An incident involving only 2 people. Then an incident involving 6 people plus however many witnesses. Who knows? And then here, we're going to grow because now even more people are so pissed off at their actions. People gathered at the Leon Valley Police Station to protest what they perceived to be an unlawful action by the Leon Valley Police. In the afternoon, at around 4 p.m., Defendant Salvaggio personally told a number of people that he would hold a press conference shortly and showed them where the conference would be with the intent that they would head to that area with their cameras. Okay, so Chief Salvaggio here, Hell Hitler guy, I hate to use that whole Hitler thing, but wow, does this not sound like him? But what he does is he says, hey, you know what? I understand you guys are upset at what we've been doing, so we're going to hold a press conference. So you guys come here, bring your cameras, come here, and let me tell you why I did what I did. Let me cop-splain this for you. Shortly after the so-called press conference began, Defendant Salvaggio ordered his subordinate Leon Valley officers to arrest all those present, and he further ordered the confiscation of any property capable of taking pictures or video. Defendant Salvaggio and the other defendants also directed criminal charges to be levied against some of those gathered, even though no lawful basis whatsoever existed to levy these charges. There was an absence of reasonable suspicion or probable cause. There was no lawful basis to detain or arrest people, nor was there a lawful basis to confiscate anybody's property. Virtually all the property seized by the police still has not been returned. Okay. Again, this was filed in 2018. I have no idea how much of this has been returned, if any or all of it. Okay. Excessive force was used by the police unlawfully. Meet the plaintiffs. Zinter was present on both June 18th and June 23rd, and was engaged. His personal property, including his camera and his iPhone 6 and a cord, were taken from one of the defendants. Zinter was at the gathering, but was not present for the protest. Jack Miller was present for the June 23rd incident and was engaging in constitutionally protected conduct at all times. He was open carrying a rifle which was strapped onto his person, which I do believe that's where the Deer Park was the Second Amendment. I do believe that's what Deer Park, why that was stuck in my head. Again, I apologize for my misunderstanding. He was open carrying a rifle which was strapped onto his person. Miller went to a store across the street from the police station only minutes before the press conference began. When Miller emerged from the store, he saw his friends being unlawfully arrested and having their property unlawfully seized. Based on these actions from the police, Miller was afraid to continue engaging in First Amendment protected conduct because of police brutality, including gathering in front of the police station, and since it was clear he would be arrested if he did so. This chilling effect was the purpose of arresting those who were gathered, and Miller suffered as a result. I cannot agree with this more. The only reason you are doing this is because they are daring to question government. They dare to question the almighty government, the almighty Chief Salvaggio. How dare you question him? Bow down to his authority. Brian Howard was present for the June 23rd incident and it was engaging in constitutionally protected conduct at all times. He was approached by defendants who immediately, without lawful basis, detained, handcuffed, arrested, and brought Howard into custody in the Leon Valley Police Station. His camera was taken from him by defendants Hernandez and Evans without any lawful basis. Hernandez and Evans then maliciously, unlawfully, and without probable cause initiated a criminal charge against Howard for allegedly obstructing and resisting officers, but the magistrate dismissed this charge since it lacked probable cause. Okay. Plaintiff James Mead. He was holding the camera outside the police station, outside, so he wasn't even engaged in this press conference that the chief of police set up to be fake. I'm sorry, the press conference is actually the worst part of this whole thing. That's just that part of this entire thing that, to me, reeks. And this, I'm hoping for multi-million dollars against both the city and every officer, where every officer is actually, they have to pay part of it themselves, especially this chief. So he was holding his camera outside the police station when a commotion coming from inside the police station grabbed his attention. An unidentified sergeant approached Mead and advised Mead that he is under arrest for failing to identify himself to law enforcement. Sergeant then handcuffed Mead and brought him into the custody of the police station. So in Texas, you only have to identify yourself if you are legally arrested. So you cannot be arrested on the sole charge of not IDing yourself, because you don't have to ID yourself unless you are arrested. This is circular logic here. You get arrested for not identifying yourself, but you don't have to identify yourself unless you are arrested. So, where's the actual charge? Upon entering the station, Sergeant falsely advised defendant Anderson that Mead was refusing to identify himself. Sergeant then unlawfully searched Mead and emptied Mead's pockets and searched Mead's wallet. He unlawfully seized Mead's camera as well as Bailey's camera, which Mead was holding for Bailey. Defendant Anderson, acting both in his supervisory capacity over Sergeant as well as in his decision-maker, policy-maker capacity for Leon Valley, unlawfully ordered Sergeant to book him. Sergeant then unlawfully brought Mead to the conference room where they were booking people while Mead's hands were still cuffed. At one point, a corporal, presumed to be defendant Mandry, approached Mead and tightened his handcuffs unnecessarily to the point where they were bruising Mead's skin. Okay? I understand that there are a lot of cop lovers out there. Why is this necessary? I want anybody, assuming that this is all factually true, what happens off camera we cannot attest to. You can watch a lot of what they are alleging in this on YouTube videos. This stuff that happened behind closed doors with no cameras around, we only have their word for it. But based off of what we already know, I have no reason to doubt this. Shortly thereafter, defendant Mandry released Mead but gave him an unlawful trespass warning, which essentially advised Mead that if Mead would be on public property, Mead would be arrested for criminal trespass. There was no lawful basis whatsoever to give this order, and it created a chilling effect on Mead to the extent that Mead avoided walking on public property for fear of being unlawfully arrested. Yes, He was then released from custody without being criminally charged. So he was arrested for not identifying himself, but, that's a stupid charge. We can't do that. Mead attended the gathering at the police station, but stayed off the sidewalk for fear of being unlawfully arrested for trespassing. When Chief Salvaggio began what was supposed to be a press conference, Mead stayed on the street, but got as close to the press conference as he could without being on the sidewalk. He was approached by defendant Vasquez, who detained Mead and ordered Mead to go against the wall where police were detaining people. Meade advised that he was unable to do so because of the trespassing warning he had received, but Vasquez gave Meade special permission this once to be in the police station property. Defendant Salvaggio unlawfully ordered that everyone must be detained until they could be identified. He was approached by a San Antonio police officer, badge number 1486, who ordered Meade to identify himself. That officer then placed Meade in his squad car without any lawful basis. Sometime later, defendant Vasquez returned and unlawfully searched Meade, then unlawfully seized his phone without any probable cause or reasonable suspicion that criminal activity was afoot. Vasquez provided a property receipt to Meade, thereby documenting this unlawful seizure of the property. Plaintiff Joseph Brandon Pierce was present both June 18th and June 23rd incident. On June 18th, Pierce's phone was seized without any unlawful basis at the direction of defendant Salvaggio and defendant Anderson, despite there being no reasonable suspicion or probable cause that Pierce was involved in any criminal activity or that any criminal activity was afoot. Oh my God, especially guys with cameras. Oh, careful, careful. We need to watch out. We need to be careful. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Dangerous stuff here, man. Oh. Despite Pierce's phone being in police custody, the police have refused to acknowledge that his phone is in their custody or provide him with the property receipt. On June 23, 2018, Pierce was present for the gathering at the police station. He had a camera out and was live streaming the events. Eventually, at around 4 p.m., defendant Salvaggio came outside and announced there would be a press conference. Again, the biggest travesty of all, right here. After waiting some time to no avail for the press conference to begin, Pierce went to a store across the street, and when he emerged from the store, a short time later, he witnessed people being arrested at the press conference and having their property seized. Defendant Vasquez saw Pierce and ordered Pierce to stop. Vasquez handcuffed Pierce and brought Pierce into custody in the police station without any probable cause or reasonable suspicion that Pierce was engaged in criminal activity or that any criminal activity was afoot. Once in custody in the station, Pierce was subjected to a search of his person and a seizure of his camera without lawful basis. Defendant Jane Doe Goldman, a female guard, groped Pierce in a sexual way and made sexually explicit comments to Pierce while she was purporting to conduct a search of his person. Again, you guys, we have no basis of fact here. We have no cameras. None of these officers were wearing body cams. And somehow there's no security footage of this either. Police corruption? Pierce was maliciously charged with the crime of interference, but the magistrate dismissed that charge for lack of probable cause. Pierce was in custody for around 16 hours, including about 4 hours after the magistrate dismissed the criminal charge. Without any lawful basis with malicious intent, defendants Anderson and Salvaggio approved or ordered Vasquez to handcuff, arrest, search, maliciously criminally charge Pierce with the crime and seize Pierce's phone, all without probable cause or reasonable suspicion of criminal wrongdoing or any other lawful basis. Prior to releasing Pierce, defendants Vasquez and or Anderson gave Pierce a property receipt and a trespass warning, unlawfully warning Pierce that he would be arrested if spotted on city-owned property. Okay, I do not know Texas law for public trespass. I am not an attorney, but an overall blanket ban off of city property just does not seem lawful to me, especially when you actually did nothing wrong at all to deserve it. He wasn't even on the property recording this press conference. He wasn't even at the police station recording the people at the press conference. He wasn't even there. He was across the street at the time. This unlawful warning had chilling effect on Pierce, and it prevented Pierce from engaging in constitutionally protected conduct, i.e. walking on public property at a fair that we would be subject to an unconstitutional arrest for criminal trespass. Mark Brown. He was present for the June 14, 2018 incident. On June 14, 2018, Brown was engaged in constitutionally protected conduct by engaging in peaceful protest. Despite this, Brown, okay, you guys, I appreciate your cause, all the typos and just typos. It really is distracting. Was unlawfully arrested and has had his camera seized without probable cause or reasonable suspicion of any criminal wrongdoing. During the unlawful arrest, at least 2 officers viciously attacked Brown, tasing him repeatedly and breaking some of Brown's ribs. Brown was further frivolously and maliciously charged with 2 criminal offenses: interference and resisting arrest, which are pending as of the date of the filing of this action. Brown had his property, including his camera and car, seized, was arrested, and was criminally charged as a punishment and retaliation for recording the police. Recording the police in a public domain is constitutionally protected conduct. The Supreme Court has ruled this over and over again. We can record the police all we want. Plaintiffs are unsure of who the officers were who participated in these violations. So they are named as John Doe Taser 1 and John Doe Taser 2. Brown was taken to the hospital for treatment after the officer's vicious attack on him. Plaintiff Bailey, June 18th, Bailey entered the police station, was standing in the foyer holding the partially burnt police parody of the American flag, and was dragging it on the floor and stepping on it. This was constitutionally protected conduct. Defendant Anderson arrested Bailey and told Bailey he was under arrest for blocking a highway. For blocking the door, you're blocking a highway. Further, defendant Anderson handcuffed Bailey, ensuring the handcuffs were extra tight. Yes, that's what you. How dare you disrespect our blue flag of tyranny, which caused Bailey unnecessary pain and then locked Bailey in a cell. In addition to the unlawful arrest, Bailey was subjected to seizure of his property as well. Specifically, defendant Anderson, at the direction of defendant Salvaggio with the assistance of unidentified officers, seized from Bailey the following property: his car, which was unconstitutionally held for 28 hours before it was returned. Why the hell do you need to hold his car? Why would you need to seize his car when he was just blocking a freaking door? Again, I do. Throughout this whole thing, I would really like some cop lovers to explain to me anything of what or why these officers. I can't even give them the benefit of the doubt. Some videos I watch, I'm like, okay, I kind of understand. I see why they would. But seriously, his freaking car! Right here, his car! For 28 hours. Why? Why his car? His phone. His GoPro. His camera stabilizer. GoPro mic. Miscellaneous wires. AT&T tablet, which was in the seized vehicle, but which was taken out of the vehicle and remains in police custody. Okay, so they seize his vehicle. I'm going to assume that they seized these things because they might contain evidence of his crime of blocking a freaking doorway. What reason do they have to seize this? What possible thing could they hope that is relative to this case? What do they hope is going to be on this tablet that was in the vehicle and not on him? There was no probable cause or reasonable suspicion of criminal wrongdoing that justified any of these actions by these officers. It was done as punishment and retaliation for Bailey's herein described protected conduct. His charge for obstructing the highway is currently pending. Plaintiff Gonzalez was present on June 18th. Gonzalez was at a gathering at the police station recording the events that were taking place outside of the building, not inside the building. Without warning and without any lawful basis, Mandrian, another officer, grabbed Gonzalez's arm and ordered him to hand over his camera. What? You did what? So he's just out there recording, and they just go up to him, grab his arm. So they go up to him, assault him, and order him to hand over his camera. Defendant Mandria then shoved Gonzalez against the window and handcuffed Gonzalez, advising that he was under arrest for failure to identify himself as a witness. But Gonzalez was never asked to identify himself, but also, you don't need to identify yourself as a witness by Texas state law. As a witness. Okay, so we've already discussed that above. But here they're saying he was never actually asked to identify himself. But let's arrest him for not identifying. So I see a cop. Oh, yep, my name is this. Yep, okay, that makes plenty of sense. This arrest was without reasonable suspicion or probable cause of any criminal wrongdoing. It was done in retaliation and as punishment for daring to record the police, which was constitutionally protected conduct. Defendant Mandry further told Gonzalez that he would obtain a warrant to watch the video on Gonzalez's devices. Well, okay, possibly with this city court. If because this is being allowed to continue, I don't see why the judges wouldn't stop it. They would just give. Yeah, I don't see any lawful reason for them to be able to search the phones and devices, but certainly the court's not going to stop them. They're going to file for a search warrant and watch it just because the hell they can. He was released several hours later without being charged, so several hours, but his property is still in police custody. Prior to his release, he was warned by Mandry at the direction of defendant Salvaggio that he would be arrested for criminal trespass if he was seen on public property such as the Leon Valley Library. Oh, so they actually say you can't even go to the library, dude. You can't read because a well-informed public is a dangerous public. Or a police station. This was an unlawful threat of what would be an unlawful arrest and creating a chilling effect on Gonzalez, who became fearful of walking on Leon Valley public property for fear of being arrested for criminal trespass. Yeah, I would see why you'd be afraid. He was present for the June 23rd Egan incident. On 23 June, Egan attended a gathering with others outside the police station to protest what they perceived to be unlawful actions. Egan was not there to record anything, and he did not take any pictures or videos. He was simply there. So you're there. Shame on you for being there. You should know better, Mr. Egan. You should know that you are not allowed to be where the public is allowed to be. Ever, okay? You are not the public. You are just a nuisance, and you are not allowed to be there, even though you aren't even recording the police. Egan was getting ready to leave due to the heat index coupled with his age. He's 70 years old. But then Salvaggio announced an impending press conference. Wanting to hear what police chief would say, Egan decided to stick around a little while longer. Unfortunately, the press conference began with defendant Salvaggio detaining and or arresting everyone who was there, including Egan. So, you're going to be detained because you attend a press conference? What? Can you guys? I need to hear something from somebody who supports the police. Why? In fact, Salvaggio began by announcing that everyone present was being detained as either a criminal suspect or a witness. Detaining witnesses against their will is blatantly unconstitutional. Defendant Salvaggio ordered Egan and others to remain outdoors in the blistering heat, demonstrating a callous indifference to their health. Egan and others advised defendant Salvaggio of Egan's health condition, but defendant Salvaggio did nothing adequate to address Egan's health concerns. He was detained against his will in the hot sun while his health worsened, and yet there was no probable cause or reasonable suspicion of any criminal wrongdoing. Eventually, EMS arrived and transported the guy to the hospital where he was treated and released. So, old guy, hot sun, yep. Shame on you, Mr. Egan, for daring to show up to see what's going on. I mean, shame on you. Whatever health concerns that you've got, these are your own fault. This entire thing is your fault. How dare you try to blame the government? Plaintiff Green. Plaintiff Green was present for the June 23rd incident. Green and others attended a gathering outside the Leon Valley Police Station to protest what they perceived to be unlawful actions. I don't know why you guys would think this is unlawful actions. They are doing the right thing. They are government. How dare you question them? Bow down before them. During the press conference, defendant Salvaggio ordered Green to come here and advised Green that he was under arrest. Green was handcuffed, detained, arrested, and taken into the Leon Valley Police Station, where his phone was seized, and he was eventually released without being criminally charged. His phone, an S8, is still in police custody. There was no lawful basis for the chief to detain him, handcuff, or arrest him. There was no probable cause or reasonable suspicion of criminal wrongdoing. It was done to punish him and retaliate against him for the protest that was taking place, which was constitutionally protected conduct. Plaintiff Springer was present for both the June 18th and June 23rd. While Springer was gathered with others in front of the police station engaged in constitutionally protected protest, Springer was recording with the camera. Defendant Evans approached Springer without any lawful basis, placed Springer under arrest for the crime of interference. And you guys, the video again supports this. The video, I really strongly suggest, if you have not seen these videos, go out there and search for this video. You will become as pissed as I am, as a lot of people are, because there is absolutely no reason for most of this, any of this. Yeah, I'll say it, none of this. Evans, he was arrested for the crime of interference because it is interfering with the police. I forgot. It is interfering with the police to hold a camera. Evans then grabbed Springer and caused... I gotta read the sentence in whole here. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this word. Okay. Evans then grabbed Springer and twisted Springer's shoulder in a way that was far more excessive than necessary and caused a tremendous amount of pain to Springer's right shoulder. Evans seized Springer's camera and vehicle. His vehicle? Why? He searched the vehicle and seized a lawful pistol that was in the vehicle. The pistol and camera are still in police custody. Evans, at the direction of Salvaggio, charged Springer with the crime of interference, but the magistrate dismissed his charge since there was no probable cause. Of course there wasn't, you stupid asses. There was no probable cause to arrest Springer. Evans, arrested, criminally charged, injured, seized property from Springer to punish him and retaliate against him for participating in the protest and for recording with the camera. How dare you record us? Come on. Get with the picture. You're not allowed to record the police. On June 23, 2018, Springer yet again was gathered with others in front of the police station, engaging in constitutionally protected protest, and Springer was again recording with a different camera because the other one is still in proper custody. Defendant Evans again arrested Springer, but this time did not use more force than was necessary to effectuate the arrest. So you didn't pull his shoulder out this time, huh? This time, Evans arrested Springer for the crime of retaliation. What? Retaliation. Essentially charging Springer with that crime due allegedly to unknown person commenting on Springer's live stream with Salvaggio's home address. So they were watching his live stream, and some other person commented on his live stream with Salvaggio's home address. Okay, you guys, I will never agree with doxing them. I'll try to remember in the description to put their phone numbers and addresses for the actual police station, the city hall, and stuff, but not his home address. No reason for that, okay? But still, Evans did not do it. They do not allege that Evans did it. Defendant Evans seized Springer's camera, which is still in police custody. There is no probable cause to arrest Springer for this crime. Evans arrested, criminally charged, and seized property from Springer to punish him and retaliate against him for participating in the protest and for daring to record with the camera. The criminal charge of retaliation is still pending. You guys, as we dig further into this case, you're going to see what happens to most of these cases here? I mean, all of them should be dropped, but there's some actually still open because it's only been a year and a half for them to bring actual criminal charges that they just aren't ready for. Count one. Okay. Arrested, detained. Okay, I don't think we just read the stories. Basically, they were detained, arrested, seized property, all that stuff without any actual probable cause is basically what it's going to be, without lawful reasons, what they're going to say here, okay? I mean, this is all going to be 1983 stuff here. I'm just going to be browsing it as we go. Let's see here. Anything else here? This is a lot of counts here. And I think what I'll try to do is put together a little chart of all the different charges, and so that way, as we read some of these other motions, some I do believe get dismissed. So, but I do want to, what's this talking about? Oh, Monell liability. So what's Monell liability? I've actually never heard this term. Plaintiffs repeat, reiterate, and reallege each and every allegation set forth above and incorporate them as fully set forth herein. Municipal is liable under 1983 if the acts violated a person's right were undertaken pursuant to the municipality's policies and customs. Defendant Leon Valley directly caused the constitutional violation suffered by plaintiffs and is liable for the damages caused as a result of the conduct of the individual defendants. The conduct of the individual defendant officers was a direct consequence of the policies and practices of defendant city. At all times relevant in this complaint, direct and proximate cause of the damages and injuries complained of were caused by policies, practices, and or customs developed, implemented, enforced, and encouraged by defendant, including the failure to adequately supervise and train its officers and agents, including individual defendants, thereby failing to adequately discourage further constitutional violations on the part of its police officers, to properly and adequately monitor and discipline its officers, including individual defendants, to adequately and properly investigate citizen complaints of police misconduct, and instead acts of misconduct were tolerated by the defendant city. The defendant city has acted with deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs. In fact, you guys, I think to this count right here, in a press conference, when asked about this and other stuff, the city manager says, it does, okay, this is not a direct quote, I apologize, I do not have the quote, I'm not going to find the video before I hit stop recording, but the city manager says, it doesn't matter if we violate their rights, that's what we have insurance for. So they know that is deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs. Right there. The city manager, who is no longer employed or semi-employed, I don't get what she put in her resignation, but I think it wasn't immediate, but maybe they changed that and now it's immediate. Chief deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs. It doesn't matter if we violate their rights because that's what we have insurance for. It doesn't matter. So is that deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs? I believe so. I don't see how you could call it anything else. as a direct and proximate result of the acts as stated herein by each of the defendants, each of the plaintiffs' constitutional rights have been violated. This failure to supervise, discipline, and control its officers demonstrates deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs and is directly responsible for the individual defendants acting the way they did as outlined in this lawsuit. To further prove this, you guys, they are still doing it. These videos haven't stopped. The brutality from the police officers and the chief, new city manager, Salvaggio, they've doubled down. I mean, they haven't stopped. The de facto unwritten policy, procedure, or custom described herein demonstrates deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs and is directly responsible for the individual. Well, that's what you guys just said up there, isn't it? It was deficient. The supervision was deficient as it relates to excessive force, unlawful arrests, and unlawful seizures and searches of cell phones. But it doesn't matter because that's what they have insurance for. Come on, get with the picture here. Bow down. Bow down. Salute, whatever. Kiss their boots. Plaintiffs were harmed and suffered damages. Defendant said he has explicit unconstitutional policies, including to detain people who are witnesses to a crime, even though there is no reasonable suspicion or probable cause of criminal wrongdoing. You do not detain witnesses to a crime. To arrest people for failing to ID as witnesses. What law is that? Show me a Texas law that says you can do that. To arrest people for failing to ID themselves even when there is no reasonable suspicion of criminal wrongdoing, which is not even the standard in Texas. They do not need reasonable suspicion of criminal wrongdoing for failing to ID somebody. It is only a criminal offense to failure to ID yourself if you've been lawfully arrested. That's it. To not allow people to record in a public building because it is once in a blue moon used as a court facility. To hand out trespass warnings to people threatening an unlawful arrest. To seize people's phones, cameras without a warrant, consent, reasonable suspicion of criminal wrongdoing, or any other lawful basis. These policies directly cause the harm suffered by the plaintiffs in the instant action. Prayer for relief. Plaintiffs demand judgment and pray for the following relief jointly and severely against all defendants. Declaratory judgment that Leon Valley's policies are unconstitutional. Full and fair compensatory damages in an amount to be determined by a jury. Punitive damages in an amount to be determined by a jury. Reasonable attorney's fees and the cost and disbursements of this action, and any other such relief as appears just and proper. Plaintiffs hereby demand a trial by jury in all issues so triable. Pursuant to this, Brandon Grable, Solomon Radner is the attorney here. Again, I'm going to be doing videos, not on these. I mean, these are summonses. I'm going to go through a lot of these, and I'm going to be making a list of the ones to actually do videos on, probably multiple videos or multiple documents in one. But there's a lot of documents here for me to read. I'm really looking forward to this. And I mean, this is a lot of things. Again, it's not even ready yet. And by the time we get down here, I was reading this attachment one earlier today. I was getting even more pissed off. So that's why I decided to do this whole video series. I'm really looking forward to doing it with you. Presenting this case to you. Again, I do want to go through both sides of it. I want to know their side. Why do they think they are in the right? Docket number 1, 2, 3. Okay. So just a weird numbering system here. Wow. Okay. Okay, so regarding admittance to practice in the Western District of Texas, Okay. But I'm really looking forward to going through this case with you guys. I understand that the plaintiffs in this cannot talk about this case, and they do not uh, talk about it because that could jeopardize the case. So if you are a plaintiff in this, I understand why I will never hear from you until after the case is resolved. I hope you guys do not find this insulting that I want to go through this case. This is a very interesting case to me. I think everything about it is it's a horror. I mean, this is where so many people ask me, why do I take a stand against the smallest things that government does? Because Leon Valley would have, if the people of Leon Valley, when this first started happening on the smallest thing, because you can't tell me that it started in June of 2018. No, the people of Leon Valley were suppressed before this time. If they would have stood up then and said, no, not now, not ever is this behavior acceptable, then this complaint would have never happened. I take issue with the smallest police activity, unconstitutional activity, with the smallest detail of it, so it does not get to this level. But again, I want to read their responses, and I want to go through it. I don't understand it, why they think that they are in the right, but doesn't mean they shouldn't, right? They should. They should get their point. So I really want to go through this with you guys. Maybe by the end of it, I'll be proven wrong, and that everything that the plaintiffs are describing is a complete fabrication. They created the videos out of CGI or something, and the police are justified in brutality, and yeah, maybe I can be convinced of that, you guys. I want to go into this with a very open mind. So, if by the end of this 10 videos or however many videos later it takes for us to get through this, my mind is convinced otherwise, I will eat crow and I will admit it to you guys that I was wrong on this first video. Until then, you guys, keep with it. Really looking forward to this with you. Cop lovers, tell me below why the police are right and these crummy people here are wrong. I really want to hear from you why the police are justified in doing what they are doing. Thank you guys. Have a good night.